I'm gonna be honest with you. I really wasn't sure if we would ever see Vanillaville again. But I decided to be patient, give it some time, and see what would happen. And I'm happy to report that it worked. Vanillaville survives to see another day. Now, obviously, in the last episode, everybody died, and it was kind of a problem, kind of a major problem, actually. But it took some time for things to get back to normal. I did go around and change some of the zoning. You might already be able to see that we have a couple more districts that now have the Brooklyn and Queens theme. I did that just because I thought it looked kind of cool, and I was curious to see what it would look like having those buildings alongside the highway. And honestly, I don't know if I like it more than the wall-to-wall buildings. I think the wall-to-wall buildings had a bit more character to them, but I'm going to stick with this because we have managed to recover from what I thought was kind of an unrecoverable situation. So I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. And I think we're just going to move on a little bit. Although in saying that, because everybody's back, we also have traffic problems. They came back as well. I wasn't really thinking they'd go anywhere, but if anything, they've come back and they are just considerably worse than they used to be, which I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know that I'm happy about this. If anything, I'm probably kind of annoyed about this. But I'm not really interested in spending today's episode working on traffic. In fact, today I want to work on something I've never done before. And so we're going to come into Laurel Hills, and I'm going to clear out a couple of buildings here, and I'm going to remove this zoning. And I'm just going to say it right now. Yesterday was obviously the first City Skylines 2 video on the channel. It's weird coming back to Cities 1 and not having all the things you can do in Cities 2. Obviously, I can't talk too much about anything outside of what was in yesterday's video, but it's weird coming back to this. I'm excited to sort of go forward and juggle the two games for a little while. We will probably one day move over to Cities 2 exclusively, but I'm excited to get into that juggling act. I think it'll be a good time. Now, the reason I'm clearing out this space is because I want to build a hotel. I've not done anything with the hotels stuff, and there are a lot of them. There's the design hotel. We need 40,000 in weekly hotel profit, and we are doing okay in terms of profits right now. It fluctuates, but the industry is making us money. It's costing us money. It's a good time. But what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to build myself just a little budget hotel on this corner. And I'm building it on this corner because it kind of blends in. It doesn't look too dissimilar to everything else that we have going on here. And it gives me just a little bit of space around it where I can put more generic pine trees, which, by the way, there were more than a few people that were surprised that I didn't call the city in that City Skylines 2 video, generic pines, because obviously I'm a very big fan of these generic pine trees. I think they look fantastic. But we'll just do something like that for the budget hotel. And if we have a look at this guy, the good news is that the sightseeing popularity is 20 already. The shopping is 35 of 35. The business location could be better. And then obviously the nature location is fine as well. So what I'm going to try and do is improve that business stat right there. So if we have a little bit of a look, we do have residences around here, and we do have need for businesses as well. So what we'll do, I think, is just go ahead and clear out this little bit of residential zoning and replace it with some office zoning. And we'll just speed that up a little bit to get those guys out of there sooner than later. We'll go ahead and replace it. And I want to see what, 1, 2, let's say 4 buildings, most likely. Yeah, about 4 office buildings. I want to see what that's going to do for this stat. It's currently 3 of 35, but when these guys get built, so there's 1 that's done. It's still 3 of 35. Oh, there we go. 14 of 35 is perfect. So once these guys are in here, which I think they all are now, we're up to 28 of 35. And there is room for 1 more there that's hopefully going to get built. But I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's use this little corner as well for a little bit of office zoning. And that should be enough to max out the stats for this hotel. And would you look at that? We've maxed everything out. We have 63 of 70 guests, which is lovely. Income is $1,260. Profits are just shy of $600 per week. So this is what I want to do. I want to get more hotels around here. I want to start playing with these things a little bit to see what exactly we can do with them. And I'm just kind of thinking I'm going to dot them around a few different spots, because we have the budget hotel, which is great, but we also have this little town hostel, which is pretty cool looking, but it does look sort of European, and we don't have anywhere that is remotely European looking. So I've got no idea where it's going to go. I've also realized I haven't switched the hospital back on. Let's turn that back on. 6,000 per week. That's a lot. that's a lot of money. Good Lord. That is, oh, wow. That's a lot of money for a hospital. Has it always looked like that? Have I always, I think, yeah, no, I'm confusing it with this one. Never mind. I thought it was more surrounded than it is, but I think it's also because I've changed out the buildings on the right of it. Anyway, let's see. Have we got anywhere that's remotely European looking where I could potentially build this little town hostel? I'm gonna say that I don't. So I'm gonna go in completely the opposite direction, and I'm just gonna build it. I might just build it in this space. I know it'd be a bit weird looking, but this corner right here might be really good for it. I'm hoping I can fit it there. I'm really hoping I can I do this? I can. And that's honestly not terrible looking. It is going to leave a gap at the back there. The space behind it's already occupied, but that's a good little spot. It looks silly. What is this? This is the large pedestrian area service point. So it looks like it's kind of an extension, like an old European extension. I don't know. I don't know why that would be there, but it kind of fits really well. And then stats wise, what are we looking at? So the sightseeing nearby. Wait, is everything terrible? It's just 1 of 15. Oh no. Oh no, that might be an actual problem. Hold on a second. What's going on here? Oh, that's why it's just residential nearby. That makes sense. Okay. Well, we're going to want to change that up a little bit. I did swap out a lot of this space. So any commercial, any offices, anything in here that wasn't residential has been swapped out for, well, obviously, you know, residential now. So I think what we'll do is we'll come over here and swap out some of these buildings. So everything, I guess, along here is going to be swapped out for commercial zoning. And I'm hoping that's going to be enough. And then for offices, what we'll do is just come into this space back here and swap that out for some offices there. And hopefully, like I said, hopefully that's going to be enough. It's probably not going to be enough for nature. Now let's see. Nature hotels do best when built in places with a great view near shorelines or forests. Public transport connections are a plus. High crime rate, noise pollution, and pollution have a negative effect on nature hotels. Okay, so that's kind of to be expected. There are not all that many trees nearby. There's definitely not a shoreline nearby. So yeah, we might need to consider, I don't know, somehow getting more stuff in here. It's not really a nature hotel though, to be quite honest with you. So I don't know. Let's have a look at sightseeing. Sightseeing hotels do best when built close to parks and unique buildings. Public transportation is a plus. I guess when it comes to parks, we could do a plaza in here somewhere. We have this corner right here. If I take you out of there, can I get myself just a little something in that space? We do obviously have the pedestrian area stuff that we could play around with because they will fit really nicely there. We have the small food truck plaza. We have the ice cream stand. We have the fountain plaza, which honestly I'm kind of here for. Let's go ahead and just ooh, no, maybe I'm not. It doesn't really fit nicely with the terrain. Let's go for the food truck instead. It fits a little bit better. It conforms better. And I want to just see what that does. 10 out of 40. That's not bad. We do have a bit of a profit. So $100 per week is better than nothing. It would be nice if that was higher, but I don't know that it's going to be higher in that area. We might just have to accept that a hotel down here is maybe a bad idea. Although I am wondering, since this place is 100% popular, can I just crank the fees up to 25 and get more money without really annoying anybody? It kind of seems like I can, so that's not bad. And I also want to have a look here and see how I get the next hotel. So I just need a weekly profit of $1,000 for the small hotel, the same for the old inn, the same for the roadside motel, and $5,000 for the city hotel. So we might need to do a little something here. But what I'm considering, given that the rental cabin exists and given that it's based on purely nature and sightseeing, is that we might want to use this space. Now, in saying that, I would be building little rental cabins down the cliff from a massive industrial space. So I don't know about that. I mean, I could build a new little forested area. I could use like this area for a bunch of little rental cabins, which would have a great view up here. And I guess maybe that's what we're going to do. Maybe we just turn this into a forest. I was going to get rid of those rocks, but I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to sort of freeform a bunch of stuff, and we're going to turn this into like a little, I guess it's going to be a nature reserve. So let's go ahead and get our zoning or a district tool. Let's go and say that it's going to be a park, and let's just use the large brush. I'll tidy this up in a little bit, but we'll just turn this space into a nature reserve. It's not the best place for one. I mean, it is. Oh my God, that traffic. Wow, that's actually diabolical. That is absolutely terrible. It's not the best place for it. It's overlooking the city, which is great, but you look a little bit too much to the right and you just see industry. But I'm hoping I can hide a lot of this with trees and stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. I also really wish I could just place these anywhere without having to put them roadside, but we'll figure that out. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little section of road right here, and that'll be 3 units. Is this guy's 4 units. Okay. So what we'll do is get ourselves a little stretch. 1, 2, 3, 4 units right there. And I'm going to put one here. And I'm sort of going to do this like around all of these little spots that stick out. So we can get like 2 or 3 of them over here. We can get one or two over here. And I think that's kind of the best way to do this. I think this is probably more than enough cabins. This is also the road layout that we're going to go for. And keep in mind, the idea here is we're probably going to bring a road off of this highway. We'll probably turn it into a roundabout around here, and then we'll have some regular roads come off that turn into these dirt roads. So this is going to be expandable. I'm probably not going to expand it too much. It is probably just going to be turned into a nature reserve, but that's sort of my idea. In fact, what I'm going to do is go ahead and just flatten this little bit of land here and get ourselves that roundabout a little bit sooner than later. So we'll just flatten this bit out. In fact, let's go for a bit of a bigger brush and say that this is going to be nice and flat right about there. We'll get ourselves some sections of road, and this probably doesn't need to be too big of a roundabout, to be quite honest. I think we'll do it. Do I want to do a 10 by 10? We'll do a 10 by or a 5 by 5, whatever it is. We'll do, you know, 10 across there. And that should be probably big enough. It's going to be probably a little bit too big for what we want to do here, but it'll be fine. So we'll go ahead and do this. We'll go ahead and bring a little stretch of road off of here, a little stretch of road off of here, and a little stretch of road off of here. And I'm going to say the one thing already that I'm missing from Cities 2 is the ability to just drag a road straight through like this. It's such a, like, it just makes sense, you know, like it's a feature that now that I've kind of played around with it, I'm like, man, that really, yeah, that makes sense. That's like a thing. That's a thing that I absolutely need in my life. Anyway, let's go ahead and swap this out for some roads with wide sidewalks. I'm thinking actually, you know what? I was going to say we could turn this into highways, but I don't think we will. I think what we'll do is have the road that leads up to it be a highway. And then we'll have this bit be a road with sidewalks so that if someone wanted to walk down to the roundabout and around, they absolutely could. Not that I'm necessarily going to encourage them to do that, but they can if they want. And I think for here, we're probably going to be looking at a bit of a weird kind of just junction. I don't love that. I don't love what it's doing with the terrain. Oh man, do I want to bring it back here? I mean, I could bring it all the way back here and have them go out and around the factory. That seems a little bit extra though. I don't know if there's any point, but I would prefer to not have this get all weird. So that might be the best bet, which means coming off of here and turning this into a 4-way intersection, which seems like a terrible idea, but that might be what we do. All right, so I gave up. I was going to try and connect it here. I've rebuilt this road a couple of times to try and get the slope to be better, but I just brought it back this way. We now have this 4-way intersection, which I'm not a fan of in the slightest, but it does go around the factory, which is interesting, I guess. And it does connect out here, which is good. All these guys have power thanks to this wind turbine. They have water and sewage thanks to some pipes underneath all of the dirt roads. And so they are now functional, which is good. Now, obviously, they don't have any sightseeing at the moment, but they do have all the nature that they could possibly want. So what I'm going to do now, I guess, is go ahead and expand my little... Oh, I don't need to expand it too much. We're going to just expand this nature reserve a little bit down to there. And honestly, what might be better is just snapping this this district zoning to the road and doing it that way. Although it's going to be slightly tricky because I can't necessarily see the road. But we'll try and do it this way, so that way everything's really nicely covered. And now that that's done, what I think we can go ahead and do is bring a little section of road just off of here. I'm going to need all of my guidelines back on, though. Well, all of my snapping and whatnot. We'll bring this road back to about here. We'll go this way. We'll go this way. And this is where I want to put the main entrance for a nature reserve. I'm hoping I can get it central. I obviously can't because it's City Skylines. Every single time. I should have known better. Man, that's such a pain. That is, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of everything not fitting central at the end of roads, man. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. It annoys me so much every single time. Every single time. It just really annoys me. Anyway, we'll do this. This is going to be our little entranceway for the nature reserve, I guess. And, let me go ahead and get myself a little bit of a path here. And I think I might do the decorations. We might do the lights so that if I ever do enable the day-night cycle, which I've been teasing for the longest time, but if I ever enable it, people could walk around here at night and that'd be pretty cool. And I think what I'm going to do is just try my best to sort of follow the terrain a little bit. I say that and it immediately cuts away a massive chunk of the terrain, but there's like clearly a little bit of elevation going on here. So this path is going to be like the lower path that sort of follows around the base of this hill. And we can have it sort of, you know, slink around a little bit like this, and maybe it connects right about there. So that's kind of a way in and out. I'm not really too worried about people being able to get in here without going through the main gates. That's not really the point of this space. So we'll do similar here. This guy's kind of going to go around. This one's probably going to follow the road a little bit since this area is a little bit flatter than the other side. And we can have it sort of curve around here. Again, sort of going at the base of the hill. And we'll just have it connect right to about there as well. So that gives us a couple of ways around, which is good. I think what I would like to do is just get a couple of little connections, something like this. I think we'll do sort of similar down here. We'll connect it to about there. It does slightly mess with the terrain, but I'm not too worried about it. On this side, this is relatively level. So we'll do similar here, just so we have a connection in that spot. This side's a little bit elevated, so I'm not going to touch that too much. And then all I need to do really is find a way to get up into this space as well. So this looks like a pretty good little slope to play with. And so we'll just sort of swing this thing up the hill a little bit. We'll bring it around here, bring it sort of down like this, relatively straight line, kind of across the top of that hill. And this actually could connect up to there, which I think is a fantastic little connection to have. So that gives you a way across, which is great. This entire space is something I want to play with as well, though. So I'd like to get myself just a little section of path that comes in here. I do want to go around these rocks because I think that would look kind of fantastic. Probably going to mess with the terrain. It absolutely does. Not really too concerned about it. Having this view around the rock is pretty cool, and I think it's probably worth it. And I guess this guy we're going to bring over. And even though it's going to mess with the terrain, I'm going to connect it there as well. So that gives us a bunch of connections to that upper space, which is absolutely what I'm looking for. I actually don't mind the differences in terrain. I think that's kind of the point of a nature reserve. So that'll be pretty good. We can get a lot of trees along this. But before we even do that, I want to get tents in here. And I want to get some of these viewing decks, which reminds me, I never put a viewing deck at the end of this road, did I? So let me just bulldoze you and let me see. Can I get a little viewing deck right here? Is that going to be an option? I think it is. And I think it's going to look kind of fantastic. So right about there, that is absolutely perfect. That is absolutely perfect. That's exactly what I wanted for that little bit of road. Okay. As for this space, I guess we could do similar. So like here could have a bit of a viewing deck if I wanted it to, which I kind of do want it to. I'm also pretty sure I can put that on a path. At least I think I can put it on a path. Let's find out. If I get you and I was to do just a little something like this up to about there, can I put a viewing deck right at the end of that and have it look okay? I'm really hoping that I can, and I absolutely can. It's probably not as much of a view as the other one. If I put trees in front of it, it won't be, but that actually might be one of the best views in the city right there. Look at that. I mean, it's blurry as hell because of the depth of field, but you know, you get the idea. So I've placed a bunch of stuff in the nature reserve, and I was really hoping that I could get the entertainment value to be a little bit higher. Well, the sightseeing value to be higher for these cabins, but it's just not happening. It seems that things like lookout towers, campfires, you can see what have, oh my, no, of course. This is how bored they are. They've set, how very Northern Irish of them. They've got bored and set fire to something. Oh man. Yeah, this is how bored the people in the cabins are. It is what it is at the end of the day. I'm not really super worried about it. At the very least, I have managed to unlock the other hotels. So we now have the small hotel. We have the old inn. We have the roadside motel as well. And we're not too far away from the city hotel. We're not too far away from the mountain lodge, which would be kind of fantastic up here. We've got the boat hotel as well. And then things at the conference hotel. That's all going to take a while. But I would like to try and get my hands in that mountain lodge because I think it would look really cool in this space somewhere. Maybe over here. Maybe this is like a little dedicated space for the lodge. Maybe this is a dedicated space for the lodge. Either way, before we do any of that, I need to place a bunch of trees. And this is going to be, oh man, I did this for, not to keep rattling on about Cities 2, but I did this for that Cities 2 video. There was a little tiny section of time lapse in that first Cities 2 video. And that was maybe 5 minutes of what was like an hour of just placing a bunch of bushes by hand. It reminded me so much. And I don't know how many of you might remember this. I don't know how many of you turned up for it was a live stream I think I did it on, so probably not that many. But there was a live stream I did many years ago playing City Skylines. And this was before things like Prop Line Tool. This was in the first few months of the game being out. And I decided that I needed farms for my city. And so what I did was I just went and sort of laid out an area and started covering it in different colored bushes and just all that kind of stuff so that I could have something that kind of resembled a farm. And that was like a 4-hour live stream where I just placed thousands upon thousands upon thousands of bushes. And it was a miserable time. It was really, there were more people watching that stream than there should have been. It was stupidly successful as far as live streams go for me. So I don't know. It might have just been a case of people watching to see how long I can keep up with just manually placing thousands of trees, but it was a thing is what it was. It was a whole thing. And that's basically what I'm going to do here. I'm going to have to place thousands of trees. Well, in this case, maybe hundreds, maybe not thousands, but definitely hundreds. Okay, so you know that part of the video when I said I wasn't going to manually place thousands upon thousands upon thousands of trees? Well, I decided to pull what I like to call a pro gamer move and lie. But I hope you'll agree when I say that it was worth it, because this place actually looks kind of cool now. Now, in saying that, I am going to go ahead and I am going to put some things in here that might not fit the bill of a nature reserve all that much. I'm going to do things like playgrounds. I'm just going to do anything I can to try and boost the numbers out here a little bit. So I think this space in the middle here is going to be somewhere that we do a little playground. And honestly, it doesn't look so bad. It does kind of blend in a little bit, and I can go ahead and surround it with a few more trees to sort of hide our crimes and almost hide that this thing exists, if we're completely honest. And I can go and get some of the regular old oak trees to kind of blend in a little bit further as well, so it doesn't necessarily stick out quite as much as it otherwise would. And that should and does boost the numbers in a lot of these cabins, which is exactly what I wanted. Now, the radius in this thing isn't amazing. It's really only impacting the cabins next to it, but I'm okay with that. That's not the end of the world. And if I want to, I can kind of go and do the same. I think a dog park out here would be really interesting. And I could see a dog park existing out here for the simple reason that people will and would want to bring their dogs with them to a place like this. But obviously maybe the city, you know, whoever looks after the nature reserve is going to be like, look, you know, you can walk your dogs, but we really don't want you letting your dogs off their leash. So here's a little space where you can do that. You know, you can let them run about, you can let them poop everywhere as long as you pick it up. And so I think having a little dog park here is kind of the best way to let people do that. Obviously they can walk their dogs around wherever they want, but you know, a little space here where they can let them off their leash, I think is fair enough. That's, I don't know, man. People that let their dogs off their leash everywhere, it is a pet peeve of mine. I have 2 dogs myself. They are admittedly Chihuahuas, so they're not the, you know, the biggest or kind of worst dog to let off their leash. In fact, I don't let them off the leash because they're Chihuahuas. That seems like a terrible idea. They'll run and pick a fight with a German Shepherd and the German Shepherd will eat them. But the reason it's a pet peeve is just simply because of the amount of times I'd be walking my old dog or even my 2 Chihuahuas, and here comes just whatever the hell it is off its leash, you know, determined to say hello or do whatever. And I love that. I love a friendly dog. I really do. But it's just like, you never know, right? You never know. It's like, is this dog friendly or is this thing bounding towards me with the intention of like murdering my Chihuahuas? So it's just like, I don't know. I like having like a dedicated space for things like that. I also really like how this has turned out and it's improved the stats in here as well, which is exactly what we want. Are we above 5,000 yet? We're not, but we are on 3877. Eugh. We've got a little bit more to go. Okay. What else have we got in here that I could play with? There's actually not too much. We do have the park with trees. We have the large playground, which I don't think I'm going to place in here. I think it might be a little bit too much. I think it might be a little too weird looking, a little bit too big for the space. We have some plazas. We have some stuff in here, which is mostly parking lots. We have some stuff in here as well, which admittedly, some of this could be good. We have the little tiny park here. I don't really know what the tiny park looks like, so let's play around with it and see what does it look like right there. It is a little, I don't mind that actually, like a little fountain, little pond thing going on. I don't think it looks terrible. We'll just put a couple of trees around it again to just hide our crimes ever so slightly. Does it help you out? It kind of does, which is great news. And if we have a look in here, we are sitting on 4142. So another couple of those, and we might actually be able to do this. Actually, now that I think about it, I could just come back over to the city and build one of the other hotels. We do have the small hotel now, which needs a lot of shopping nearby. It needs a little bit of office, a little bit of tiny little bit of nature, but will do best near commercial areas. So if we look at our zoning, we have a bunch of commercial in here. I mean, what style is the hotel? It's still kind of European. I mean, it's not European really. It's just a building. It's not super modern though. So I don't necessarily know where to put it. I'm not really 100% sure. I think over here maybe would be an interesting spot for it, sort of by the university a little bit. How big is the building? It will fit. It'll actually fit on that corner pretty nicely. And I don't know that I mind that. I might put it on this side though, just so it's sort of up against the road, although we do have a post office there. So what if we move the post office across the road and we put a little hotel on this corner right about there? Honestly, I don't mind it. I kind of like the parking. I don't love that it's just completely standalone, but it is nicely enclosed, which is good and kind of what I'm looking for. So let's see how it's doing. It needs some offices nearby, which is to be expected. So let's go ahead and just get rid of some of this residential zoning. We have it actually abandoned, so we'll just clear out these guys, replace them with offices. They're already going to be wall to wall, which is perfectly fine. And so this guy, I'm pretty sure is going to be maxed out. It does need a little bit of nature nearby. So I think what we'll do is bring the price up to like 30, let's say $30 will be the sweet spot on that one. And once these offices are built, I'm kind of hoping that's going to be enough to push us over. We are sitting on 4316 right now. Hopefully that can go a little bit higher. So 4587 is what it's settled on. We do still have things like the old inn. Now this guy, let's see, needs some sightseeing, needs some shopping. It does need nature nearby as well. So I don't think the old inn is necessarily going to fit anywhere that we have right now, to be perfectly honest with you. We don't really have anything that would be good for it. Maybe down here, but that seems like a weird spot for an old inn. Oh man. I don't know where I'd build it. I mean, I could build it out here. We could build like a little shopping space right next to this. I know that might be a bit silly looking, but what if we did like self-sufficient or whatever you call it, the green shopping out here? We could maybe get away with that. It might be kind of interesting, and I think I'm gonna give it a shot. So let me swap out this road. I might regret this. This might be a terrible idea, but I'm gonna swap out this road for this one with the grass on it. And I'm gonna see if I can build just a little space here. I do want to get the lodge up here, but I think this space could be kind of interesting to play with. We're also going to go and slope the terrain just a little bit because there is a bit of a height difference here. So we want to kind of do this, right? We want this to sort of go up to the road. We want it to be just a gentle slope down to whatever I'm going to build here. And I don't really know what I'm going to build here, but we're going to figure that out together is what we're going to do. That's kind of the fun of this whole sort of thing. I've got no idea what it's going to look like, but hopefully it's going to be good. And so I think we'll keep it really simple. We'll just go for like a little square right here. And then right at the end of it, we can do the old inn, I suppose. I think it looks all right there. I'm going to take out these trees as well and probably completely redo the landscaping in this space just so I can get it exactly how I'd want it to be. And I will say, I'm not thinking I'm going to do a lot of shopping out here. I might do some parking though, just so this space kind of makes sense in that regard. So if we look at this guy, I'm going to move it over by one, I think. Well, maybe. I'm thinking I'm going to do that. I'm thinking I'm also going to do a little bit of a parking lot next to it. I don't know that I love that, but I do think a bit of extra parking there would be good. We can put some bushes around it and sort of, you know, surround it that way to make it look a little bit better. This thing, honestly, we will probably do another one of these somewhere because this one's obviously, you know, this isn't the ideal spot for this building, but I do want another hotel. So you've got the nature, you have a little bit of sightseeing, you have no shopping nearby, and that's to be expected. So I suppose in terms of sightseeing, really that just comes down to plazas and things like that. Now we could do the birthday plaza right here if we wanted to. We could do the Chirper balloon tours, which actually, that seems like a really good idea. I don't love how the terrain looks there, but hot air balloon tours right next to this seems like a really cool thing. Although admittedly, it's actually made sightseeing worse. So maybe not on that one. I love this. I love how it looks, and I do want to get that somewhere, but we're going to delete you for now. Now I have just remembered that we can use unique buildings for this. And so I'm going to use one of these guys. I can't remember what the pack is. I think it's the Seaside Resorts one, but I'm going to use this right here. And I just want to see what that does, if anything. Now this guy has multiple problems because no power and no water. So what we'll do is bring some pipes sort of down and around here just to solve the water problem. And then in terms of power, we'll just not do pipes there. In terms of power, I mean, for now, I'm just going to do a wind turbine here and see what happens. And I just want to see, so we have the sightseeing, which is great. Well, sort of. We don't have the shopping, and that's to be expected. So for this guy, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's not a lot I can do in front of it in terms of trees or anything. So it's kind of going to just be sat away from the road, and I don't necessarily love that. I'm not a huge fan of the fact that it is sat back from the road like that, but what I'll do, at least to try and make it look a little better, is I'm going to just flatten the terrain a little bit. In fact, do we want to just raise the terrain up for these guys? I don't know. I don't know that I love this, to be quite honest. I really don't. I might swap it out for something else. I might also change the way these roads connect and come off of here and sort of down and around, so these are a little bit less steep. And it just seems like less of a city block thrown at the edge of a cliff. But for now, we'll sort of just survive. It might just be one of those things that's kind of necessary. It might just be a necessary evil for the space. But what I'll do is I'm going to get myself one of these guys. I'm going to go straight across like this. And annoyingly, that just raises the terrain up and does exactly what I didn't want it to do. So yes, I'm going to sort of flatten some of this space out a little bit. So after a little bit of messing about with the terrain to level absolutely everything out, it's done. We have a couple of shops up here. We have a couple of hotels. And the good news is that I've managed to unlock the Mountain Lodge. Now this thing is 140,000. It's 3,200 per week. But my hope is that this thing is going to be good for this space. And this is exactly where I want to put it. So that's where it's going to go. And I'm pretty sure I can get away with this. If I look at the stats, it does need a little bit of shopping nearby. It actually needs some offices nearby as well, which is surprising. But we're going to place it here anyway, because this is, I think, arguably the best spot for it. Although looking at it, I might need to flatten the terrain here as well, because it is not playing all that nicely. So very quickly, we'll go ahead and get rid of it. And what I'm going to do is just grab the terrain at this height and just level it out. I don't love, wait, do I? Interesting. Well, we're going to buy a bunch of soil is what we're going to do. And we're going to, we're just going to do this. We're just going to level this right out to here. We are going to have the road being a little bit weird in front of it. But honestly, I think what we'll do is just flatten this out really, really nicely. I'm going to take this road out for a second because I can replace it. And I'm just going to bring a little stretch of dirt road through there. And that's where the Mountain Lodge is going to go. If anything, I could have the Mountain Lodge be a little further back from the road if I wanted to. I don't know that I want to though. So I think we'll try this for now and say that it's going to live right about, I guess right about there. It doesn't look terrible. My only complaint is that it does have this concrete around it, which, I mean, sure, but I don't know. This thing needs to make a lot of money per week to, well, make money. So sightseeing around this is going to be important. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to necessarily do with this. We might have to do some shops next to it as well. And I really want to try and avoid doing too much of that. But when it comes to it, if it's how the thing makes money, it's how the thing makes money. So let's just take this road out for a second, take you out. And what we'll do is bring a little road back here. And we'll see if I can't play around with that a little bit to make this work. So we'll have that as a curve for there. We'll have this guy sort of curve up like this. In fact, this can probably go back a little bit. If I put a cut right there, I'm pretty sure I can get away with this. And that doesn't look too bad. It does sort of dip down a little bit there, which I don't love actually. So let's actually try and keep that relatively flat until we're past the building. Unfortunately, that's just going to have to be the way of it. And so with this in place and some little paths that just go around the edge of it, I think what we're going to have to do is just place a little bit of a district here and sort of do what we did with the hotel to the right and say that this is just going to have a couple of little shops next to it, which I don't love doing, but I think it's just sort of a necessary thing. So we'll go ahead and specialize this as well. So it's all local produce and whatnot. And we'll say that this is just going to be, oh, how do I want to do this? Let's do a couple of little, let's just do a couple of little shops. We're not going to go too crazy with it. Just a couple of these little guys here. And I'm wondering if I can get something there. Maybe like a little, like, can I get a little 1x1 building there? I've honestly got no idea if that's actually going to build, but if it does, that would be nice, I guess, is what we're going to go for. It would be nice. I've got no idea. These guys, I will say, they look pretty good, even if one of them is admittedly, well, it's an electric car showroom, which is a bit of a weird spot for it, but you know, that's fair enough. That's all right. I'm not too worried about it. So yeah, hopefully these guys will build. I think what I'll do in the meantime is just go around. Oh, there we go. We got some building going on now. And we have got a little 1x1 here as well. That's absolutely perfect. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and line this road with some trees. Now I was thinking of going with these generic pine trees. I mean, I love them. You know, I love them, but are they a little bit too big for this? They might be. They do kind of block the windows, but they do sort of match the vibe of the lodge. So honestly, I think that's what I'm going to go for. These buildings look ridiculous. They look so stupid. They really look so stupid with the concrete around them, but whatever. That's what we're going for, I guess. All right. How did that do? That has given it a bit more shopping. It is making money. It's doing 1,090 every week, which is good. So I'm going to bring that price up to $60 to make a little bit more money there. And I guess what we'll do is, like I said, we'll just go ahead and surround this thing with some bushes and just sort of make it, you know, look similar to what I did with the other hotel, where the edge of the cliff is just really nicely, you know, defined. I'm not wanting to use fences on this where possible. I think the bushes kind of look a little bit better, and maybe there's, I don't know, maybe there's like some fences hidden inside the bushes or something like that. I've got no idea. It would definitely be a health and safety nightmare out here. You'd probably have to sign a waiver before you go out into the yard, but it's all right. I think it looks the part, and with a couple of extra trees in here, I think we can just make this look really, really good. And once again, there we go. I think this is going to do the job. And honestly, this is probably going to be the last hotel that we build for today. I love how this thing looks though. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. I love the little paths going around it. I love sort of hugging the tops of the cliffs like that as well. I just love it. I really do. Absolutely adore it. We're also making pretty good money, which is great news. We're at plus 52,000 right now. And if we take a little bit of a look into my budget, I suppose, or into my general income right now, industry is making, wow, that's 121,000 for, hold on a minute. What? Plus 56,000 from industry right there. Good Lord. That's actually kind of wild. 33.43% of my income comes from industry areas and fishing industries. Good Lord. Not bad. Hotels are making 15,000 though. So yeah, 5.8% of my income comes from tourism. That's honestly not bad. That is honestly not bad. I'm also thinking that if I really wanted to, I could do some cable cars that go from like here down through all of this and over to the city. And you know, I'm not necessarily against doing that. A cable car that kind of lands up this way would be really interesting. I would want it to come down the hills and sort of over here though. I wouldn't want to cut straight across because we'd have the giant pillars, but I don't know that we need to do that right now. What I would like to do is I would like to get some buses that come out here specifically. Obviously we have a bus that comes out to Valley Marsh already, but I think I'm going to do a separate bus that goes out to that space. Actually, where does that bus come from? That green line. Let me have a little look at my bus lines here. Let me sort by line name. Let me turn all of them off and look at this one. So it goes all the way down around here. It goes all the way into here. Oh, so it does go here. Interesting. All right. Well, let's do another little shuttle. I don't necessarily know if it's sensible to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. And it's going to come out and basically it's just going to go to, I could have stopped there. I could have stopped there if I wanted to. I don't think I'm gonna. I think I'm gonna stop just near it so people can kind of get off the bus and walk towards the nature reserve there if they want to. We'll have a stop there as well. Admittedly, none of these guys are gonna have crossings, so I'm gonna need to add some of those in. Honestly, that's okay. We'll have it go to here. We'll have it come down to the end of this road and come back. We'll have it go to about here since there's gonna be a crossing there. There's gonna be a crossing right about there as well. And we'll just have it sort of come down and around all of this space. Obviously, it's going to come in there as well. And then it's just going to go back. And that's going to be how we get people out to that nature reserve. And that's going to be absolutely fantastic. So looking at this guy, bus line 34, let's go ahead and say that it is probably just going to be the little mini bus. That just kind of makes sense. I also don't know. Is this like a new thing? That's not a mod, right? I think that's a content creator pack. Anyway, we'll do the minibus. We'll make it, I guess, sort of a green color as well. A little bit of a different shade of green than the other one, but we'll do the green color and we'll turn all the bus lines back on so I can see them. And hopefully people are going to want to use that. Now, I will say, like I said, we are going to need some crossings around here. So here, for example, we need people to be able to cross this road. So what I think I'm going to do is actually take out that guy and just replace it with a little section of road like, let's see, like this. And now people can technically cross over that. And then I'm just going to run a little section of the good old nature reserve path down here. And hopefully that'll be all right. So off of here to about there. It's kind of obvious what's going on there, but it's not the end of the world. It's not the worst thing. Let's just move you forward a little bit and do this. Honestly, I'm kind of okay with it. That should be totally fine. And again, hopefully people can get around here without too much issue. I am thinking that I might put some trees along these roads as well, or not trees, some grass along these roads at the very least, just so it looks a little bit more, well, not natural, but you know what I mean? A little bit better, like it's trying to make an effort, I guess. And we'll do the same with the roundabout as well. A little bit of grass around there. And maybe, you know what? It probably doesn't need 3 lanes. I could do 3 lanes, but I can't do 3 lanes with grass. We'll do the 3 anyway. We'll do the 3 lanes, and that's hopefully going to give us, I mean, it does give us some dedicated turning lanes. Not that anyone's using them. All right, we're going to go back to the grass. No one's using the leftmost lane to only go left. They're using it for everything. So yeah, we're just going to stick with the grass around there. I think that looks pretty solid. We already have some minibuses out here as well because we do have a depot nearby. So hopefully that's going to do good. That's not good. That's definitely not good, but hopefully people are going to want to use those. Hopefully people are going to come out here. And I'm also realizing that we do have crime problems and we are going to have fire problems. So let's actually use these guys. Let's use the historical fire station right here. And let's use the historical police station right here. And those guys are having power problems. Of course they are. Oh man, how am I going to get power in here without just throwing another giant turbine nearby? I don't think I'm gonna. I mean, that works. It looks dreadful, but I think that's what we're going to do for now. And then I'm just going to surround these guys with some trees to kind of blend them in a little bit more. Well, blend them in is maybe not the word, but we'll just surround them a little bit. And that should be totally fine. And you know what I think will be funny? I think it'd be funny to swap out the police cars for police supercars and the fire trucks here. I'm not doing the mini one. I'll do the large one. Again, it's ridiculous and completely pointless, but that's what we're going to do. That'll give us policing out here, which we absolutely needed. That is a lot of minibuses. How many buses are on that line? Hold on. We have 39. I'm going to say we're going to have 10 in total is what we're going to do. We're going to have 10 of those buses. We definitely don't need 39 of them. Now, you remember that part of the video when I said that I wasn't going to build another hotel? That was once again a pro gamer move, which is a lie. I'm going to build the city hotel and I'm going to clear out this space for it. Now, that's not to say that this entire block is going to be dedicated to the city hotel. That is not the case at all. I'm also going to keep the game paused so that we don't have anything else building in here. I just want this space to get a good look at the city hotel itself. So it's going to be this guy, and it's a little bit weird looking. It is definitely a bit of a weird looking one, but my thinking is that I can put it like right here, right by that bus stop. And I can do a couple of parking lots just on the left of it here. I don't know that surface level parking here would necessarily be a thing because this is relatively central. But the reason I want this is because we have all the shopping, we have all the offices, we have everything nearby that this guy would want. And I'm almost tempted to say that I might do 2 of them. I might actually just turn this block into a block for 2 city hotels. And I think that's probably the play here. What if I was to turn, wait, there's different styles of you? Ooh. Oh, there's taller ones. Oh no, that is interesting. What about you? We can do like a sort of wider one. I'm assuming a wider, taller one. Yeah. Oh, I do kind of like that. I don't know that I want the wider one, but I think maybe one of the short one and the tall one. Maybe we do both. I like that. I do. I think I'm going to go with the short one and the tall one. I think definitely the 2 of them. And then for this middle space, what we can do is just throw some paths in here and have it just be a little space that people can kind of walk through and chill and do their thing. So we'll do a little path right there. We can get rid of this zoning right here. And those look like linden trees. So what we're going to do is just line this path with a bunch of young lindens. And honestly, I really like how this looks. The biggest complaint with these guys was that there was nothing to see nearby, but apparently there's plenty. So these guys have been, well, they've been maxed out a little bit. They're not making money though, which is a bit of a concern, but I'm going to crank the prices a little bit to see if we can't fix that. I'm also noticing that, do they have the same? Yeah, so they are the same building, even though one is considerably bigger. They are now starting to make some money as well, which is absolutely fantastic. And I do think having the bus stop right in front of this guy is absolutely the right call. I love this. I love how that looks. It's such a good little use of the space. I was going to say that I could put a unique high-rise building behind these guys or next to these guys, since we do have those as options. If we go all the way through here, we have all of these guys. And honestly, I might still I might still do that. These guys, this is probably a bit too big. I need something that kind of matches the scale of my current skyline, which, I mean, this sort of does. It's a little bit large. You're a little bit more in line though. So what if we were to do a little bit of that? What if we were to place just like a unique tower right on that corner? It does blend in really nicely. It's not immediately obvious that that is like not a thing, right? So, or not a, you know, a zoned building. So let me clear out some of you guys as well. And let me see if I can get another one. So we have this one a little bit big. We have all these weird looking ones, which again, yeesh, a little bit too big. Again, a little bit too big. Some of these guys are absolutely enormous. That one's a little bit better. This one's not bad. Again, it's using up a lot of space, but I don't mind it. That one's way too big. This one's more acceptable. This one's pretty tall as well. Is this one shorter? This one's a good bit shorter. Okay. Let's go for this guy. I do kind of like it. I can get some parking next to it as well, which might be kind of a nice thing to do. So we'll put it right about there. And then we have, there's a bunch. There's way too many of these buildings to go through right now, but just a couple of them is all I'm really looking for. I could get this giant one on its own block, which I'm not against doing. So I think right there, space already occupied by what? Oh, there's a metro station right there. Okay. We'll do this end of things then. We'll do that one giant building. It sort of blends in. I mean, it doesn't, but it almost blends in. And then I think this space, we're going to go ahead and just turn it into a plaza between these two buildings. And I'm hopeful that that's going to be enough to start attracting people to the area. So if we have a look here at plazas, we have some options. We obviously have Paradox Plaza right here. Can I get something that fits in there perfectly? That's sort of what I'm looking for. I'd love to use this thing with the bridge. That would be beautiful, or this guy, but I don't think those are going to be options. We do have some sidewalk restaurants. We have this guy as well. I'm not really sure that I'm going to get something that looks exactly how I'd want it to look. We do have these guys, and I could do two of them if I really wanted to. Sort of back to back on these guys might be kind of cool. So let's maybe give that a shot. We'll do one there, and we'll try and get them to line up as best I possibly can. That's actually pretty good. And then what I could do is bring myself just a little section of path down here and over here. And then on this side, we can do sort of a similar thing, bring a section of path here and here. And then I can line these spaces with some trees. And I think that'll look pretty good. And I'm pretty sure that type of tree is, oh boy, it's going to be in here somewhere. And there we go. I think that's absolutely perfect. That's hopefully going to attract a couple of people to the area. It's hopefully going to get people going into these hotels, although admittedly 3,520 from this one already and 3,520 from this one as well. At least I think that is this hotel specifically. 3520, 34, hold on. I need that number to so 3480 is what it's kind of fluctuating down to. That profit is specific. Is that all hotels? Let me have a look at my other ones. Hold on a second. So what are you on right now? No, that is, oh, they are both making $6,000 is what that means. Or, well, 7,000 combined. That's not bad. Those things make so much money. It's kind of ridiculous. That's kind of wild, but I'm here for it. That's pretty cool, man. I should have been playing around with these hotels so long ago. They're absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love that. And I think it's such a good little addition to that space. It also makes the skyline look a little bit more interesting, right? It changes the zoning in the area. It makes the space look a little bit more designed, which is good. And I don't usually go in and chop out spaces in my cities. So I'm going to have to do a little bit more of that. And this, I mean, this is just, I don't know. This is about as good as it's going to be. They have burnt down slightly, but they are making a little bit of money here and there. I think we're going to have to feather these trees in a little bit more. This forest is going to have to be a little bit more dense. I'm definitely not doing a suburb up here, but I don't know. I might come up with something to build in this space. I'm not too sure what that'll be just yet, but definitely something. I've also realized I could have built a cargo airport up here. That would have been, maybe smart. I don't know. That might not have been a bad idea to deal with this traffic. But anyway, I think what we're going to do is go ahead and leave it there for today. I am really pleased with how all these hotels have turned out. I think the old inn right here, it is a little bit out of place. And I think the Seaside Resort building across from it is a little bit out of place, but I like it. It's different and it does the job. I don't love that the lodge needed some shops next to it, much in the same way I don't love that the inn itself needed some shops either. I especially don't love that the lodge needs offices as well, but it's about as good as it's going to be. I'm not going to spend forever trying to get offices out here. It doesn't really make sense. Honestly, the shops don't make sense either. But again, I'm kind of pleased with how it turned out. And in fairness, this entire area is pretty cool to look at. This view right here, well, it's absolutely one of the best in the city. So you should be paying a bit of a premium to come out and stay in these cabins, I think. And then the little downtown hotel plaza, again, absolutely love how it turned out. I'm really glad we could get a couple of unique buildings in here as well, just to make this thing a little bit more popular and make sure it's completely maxed out, which it is. The buses are working wonderfully as well. So I think, like I said, we're going to go ahead and leave it there for today. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. It has been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.